Thank you for listening to the Karat Juice Podcast, and I want to let you know about one of our sponsors, Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, let me tell you a little bit about it. First of all, it's free. You know I'm always about a deal, so that's a big plus right there. There are also creation tools in the app and in the software that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's literally everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Yes, welcome. So, welcome everybody to the show. I'm your host, Monte. This is the Karat Juice Podcast, the inaugural episode. It's been a long time coming. A little bit of background about me. I'm born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. For the longest time, I've been influenced. I've had the ability to grow up around great friends and family who've always engaged in conversations about a variety of things, which I've really credited to shaping my worldview. So, what is Karat Juice? What can you expect in this podcast? The first thing you can expect me to give you some rants, give you some insight, give you my thoughts on a variety of different topics. I didn't want to pigeonhole this show into being about one particular thing because I think about a plethora of things. So, in this particular episode, I got some topics that I'm going to cover that I find interesting. And I hope that you guys enjoy what I have to say. Later on, I'm going to also give you some ways to reach out to me with any feedback you might have, any topics you want me to cover, and that's all welcome. Why am I doing this podcast? The reason why is for the longest time, I've always had a love of audio. In general, like when I listened to my first audiobook when I was in college, 21 years old, I was working for a landscaping company. And at this landscaping company, we would work outside, manual labor, pretty hot summer days. And while working, I love that type of work, by the way. I loved going somewhere, seeing dirt and seeing gravel and seeing rocks and then coming up with a plan on how we would, do the landscape. And then by the end of the day, at the end of the day's work, you see this entirely different, product. It's something beautiful. I've always said something rewarding about seeing your work, but I digress. But while doing that work, I remember listening to audiobooks, and then one of my favorite audiobooks up to this day was Stephen King's It. I remember listening to it. It was about 52 hours long. And while listening to that audiobook, it was one of the first times that while the story was playing, at that same time, I could be doing something strenuous, be working really hard, sweating, but I was in another place. I was literally in another place while doing that because I got so enthralled in that story. And from then I've been addicted to audiobooks, to podcasts, to interviews, all different types of conversations. And then one day I said, you know what? I think I got something to say. So here goes nothing. All right. So first thing that I want to cover today, I actually saw the story a couple of days ago. It was about a particular artist, a recording artist, who bought a very expensive pair of, wait for it, sandals. Here's the main line here. Credit goes to Complex. Future wears $48,000 sandals made out of Birkin bags. Sheesh. $48,000 sandals. Where are you going? Where are you going? If I had some $48,000 sandals, I would think I'm walking to Saturn. Like I'm walking outer space. Like them things better, they better come with a cappuccino maker. They better come with my personalized assistant and rocket. It better comes with a lifetime supply of Culver's sandwiches and custard. Black card. Wow. And I heard the article. I mean, I'm not hating. Hey, if you got it, and apparently he does. But, wow, like, in today's culture, in today's day and age, it made me think about when you get stuff like that, when you buy something that expensive, does it fulfill you? Because I know in my personal experience, I've never bought anything that expensive, okay? Not going front. The highest price item I've ever bought was my car. And that was like a fraction of that price. I'll leave it at that. However, when I have bought things that I thought I really wanted in the past, you ever bought something and you really wanted it before? Whether it be like a pair of shoes or a particular phone or anything you've bought that was an okay amount of money, maybe $1,200, $1,500, right? You buy it, leading up to it, you're looking at the reviews and you're figuring out, what color, what style you want. And eventually you save up the money, you buy it, you get the item to your place, you open up the packaging, you take it out, you look at it. It looks good, right? It looks nice. And then what? I would say most of the time, those couple of days, couple weeks after you've gotten that thing, you realize that that's not what you really like. You could have lived without it. So I bet you he loves them. But for me, it just stood out to me that where are we going as a culture right now that we got people buying $48,000 sandals? Like, I know Jesus wore sandals, but I know they weren't $48,000. I mean, come on, let's be real. So apparently these sandals, according to the article, as the name makes them clear, so they're called Birkenstocks. And apparently, the article says, as the name makes clear, the sandal boasts leather that's sourced from genuine Birkin bags, which are disassembled before being flattened and cut into a pattern atop a Birkenstock cork footbed with a rubber sole. So it's a $48,000 Birkenstock. with some branding. Sheesh. And another thing that this article made me think about was, why do we consume so much in America? I did realize, luckily, at a younger age, that I didn't like commercials. I would try to, mute them when I'm watching something on TV because the consumerism has kind of gotten out of hand. And I do understand that we got to have certain products, but I'm a firm believer in less is more, quality over quantity. And first of all, you just be happier because you got less stuff around. But I've also noticed that the more I've given stuff away, the better I've felt in general. So I just found that as crazy, first of all, that people are willing to pay that much for a sandal. But I think as a culture, we can start unveiling what is really going on and hopefully understanding that just because you can buy it doesn't mean you have to buy it. And I'll leave that at that. Moving on. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there is another artist by the name of Lil Uzi Vert. I heard that Mr. Vert recently got a procedure done. What kind of procedure, do you ask? Well, apparently, his Vertness got a $24 million pink diamond embedded in his forehead. Let me say that again. Apparently, this guy got a $24 million diamond embedded into his forehead. The reason? I don't know. Like, knowing me, if I liked the diamond that much, I would have probably took a picture of it and then walked away. At least you got a memory of it, right? But like, I got so many questions. Like, what happens if it gets, like, how do you clean it? First of all, do you take it out? But then I feel like if you took it out, you might, like, turn into Ash, like Vision and Avengers. Or do you, like, go get, quarterly checkups to make sure it's not infected? I have so many questions. It just seems like a hazard. Also, when you out and about in the world and people know, you didn't have to let people know you got a $24 million diamond in your forehead. What if, like, that's got to be a security risk, right? I wish him the best, but you thought the sandals were consumerism. That is nuts, as far as I'm concerned. He's walking around with a whole mansion on his dome. I mean, I'm talking about mansion that got the hillside view, infinity pool, a whole staff. He's got that whole deal on his head. When's enough enough? Like, Me personally, I like nice things. I like to eat. I'm a foodie. I like a good steak, some mashed potatoes, some corn, little garlic bread, little onions with some mushrooms, saute them, put them on top of the steak. I made a steak the other night, actually. I made a Wagyu steak. Legit. Okay. That was a good time, and that didn't cost more than $100. I guess I'm not your normal Joe, but sheesh. I guess I'm just out of touch, huh? Technically, I'm in the millennial generation. But I think we're on to something. I think that the younger people for the most part, have put less value on material things and more value on experiences. And I think there's something to that. I've been the happiest and had the best moments in my life revolved around things that I've done, people that I've met, experiences that I've had rather than what I wear. And I think the sooner we can get to that as people, the happier we can be. And that'll put a bow on that for now. I have a feeling there's going to be some more stories. There's going to be some more, definitely things for me to cover when it comes to the outrageous consumerism. And when that happens, dang it, I'll be here and I have some more content for you. Okay, and moving on to another topic that I wanted to get into today for this. The association. I'm a huge sports fan. Love the NBA. A lot of people talk about how much they like college, how much the NBA, they don't play that hard. But I like to see the best of the best on the hardwood getting buckets. And a team that I wanted to highlight today, right now, is those feisty Houston Rockets. I haven't been watching before, like last week, I hadn't watched a lot of the Houston Rockets because James Harden left. I figured that they weren't going to be the best, but they got a black head coach, Stephen Silas, who's doing a hell of a job, by the way. Shout outs to Mr. Silas. The team, the makeup of the team, a lot of people talk about how they don't like the NBA and they don't like how soft it's gotten. You should watch the Rockets. Almost every player on their team has something to prove. They have a collective chip on their shoulder, Coach Silas said the other day, and I agree. You just go down their roster and you'll see what I'm talking about. John Wall tore his ACL, and then right after that tore his Achilles. Was out for like 2 years. Now he's out on the court, hasn't missed a beat, playing hard, playing gritty, diving for loose balls, running the team, being a floor general, talking trash too. I'm all for that. Eric Gordon, a lot of injuries throughout his career, but's always had talent. Always been an aggressive attacking scorer. Can give you a ton of buckets in a hurry. Strong. He's got a chip. Then you got another player like Victor Oladipo that came from the Pacers, was having an amazing campaign with the Pacers 2 years ago until he got hurt and I think he ruptured his quad or something like that, but it was a pretty serious injury. And he wasn't quite himself in Indiana. He was working his way back, and then he got dealt. And now he's with the Rockets, and he's looking like Victor Oladipo, and I'm loving it. Playing hard. And a lot of these players can play both ways, defense and offense. Aggressive, steal the ball from you, got a mean mug on their face. I'm all for that type of energy. Then there's PJ Tucker. Everybody know what he does, what he brings to the table. Aggressive, very tough, always hustling, diving for loose balls, bumping people. Reminds me of me when I played basketball. Never played at a high level, but I always loved the physical contact. I always loved to be aggressive when I played, and they remind me of that. It's very, it's beautiful to watch. And then there's players like Jayshawn Tate, their rookie, who was overseas a couple years ago playing in like China or something like that, undrafted. But when you see him play, he reminds you of PJ Tucker. I think he's 6'5", 240 pounds, strong, plays defense, will hit the open corner three, not backing down from anybody, getting loose balls. Love it. He got a whole bag of chips on his shoulder, like just aggressive. Love that. Kind of reminds me of Draymond Green. And I respect Draymond. Shout out to Michigan State. With that being said, the Houston Rockets, I think they have a top 5 defense, and they're not too shabby on offense as well. And I almost forgot another player that they have, DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie. Been through a lot. Everybody knows his injury history. I think he tore his ACL most recently, but before that it was an Achilles, and he's been kind of, for the past 2 years, people questioning if he could ever play at a top level like an all-star center again, and he's showing us some stuff for the Rockets this year, so it's exciting. Shout out to the Houston Rockets fans. So keep them on your radar. If you see the Rockets playing, show them some love. If you like 90s, 2000s throwback basketball, you will be entertained. Moving on. That was my positive note when it came to the association. My negative note, the team that needs to come up to the front of the class and speak for themselves, Brooklyn Nets, I'm calling on you. Come on up here, Kyrie. Come on up here, James. What in the tomfoolery is going on with you guys on defense? I don't know if they're basketball players or valet. There's literally just open lanes to the basket all day. I think they're giving up like 140 points a game. The Brooklyn basketball Nets. They got a ton of offense. They're very talented. Kyrie Irving is one of my favorite players to watch. He'll sauce on you, hit you with a Dougie, spin move, hit you with the fillet at the rim, poetry in motion. That's all well and good offensively. But defensively, he couldn't guard a mailbox. And it's bad. Every night, it seems like the team that's playing the Brooklyn Nets has one of their players go off for a career night. A couple weeks ago, Colin Sexton. Think he dropped 45. A couple nights later, Russell Westbrook goes off for 40 something, and Bradley Beal adds another 37, and he didn't even have a good first half. It's crazy. And there's a lot of people talking about James Harden, Durant, Kyrie. It's a big three. It's not a big three until they play some D. Because as of right now, I don't see them getting out of the second round in the league. And I love basketball. I want to see the stars playing, but Brooklyn, step it up. They don't need to talk about offense for the rest of the year. They'll get 120 points in their sleep. The problem is the teams that they're playing is getting 140, 130. Your 120 don't mean nothing if you can't stop anybody. Sheesh. As you guys, well, I'll let you guys know right now. I'm a huge LeBron fan. Lakers look good right now. The association is in good hands. There's great basketball games coming up this weekend. So I'm looking forward to watching that. But I just had to get that off of my chest. Sheesh, Brooklyn. Come on, get it together. I got faith in you guys. All right, so we're getting to the conclusion of this inaugural episode here. And to wrap up today's show, I just wanted to leave you guys with some reflection. So, the word of the day, thought of the day right now is just gratitude. I have so much gratitude for all the people I have in my life, for the friends I have, for the opportunity that I have to, first of all, be alive in these times that we have with COVID. So I hope everybody's being safe out there, and that we get through this eventually with the vaccines and all that and social distancing. But I encourage you to have gratitude for where you are in your life, for having shelter, having food, and having the ability to add value to other people in your particular way, no matter what that might be. The quote of the week is one of my favorite quotes of all time. It's a quote by a great martial artist by the name of Bruce Lee. And this is how it goes. Absorb what is useful. Reject what is useless. Add what is essentially your own. Bruce Lee. And that's going to be it for the show today. If you enjoyed this show, if you want to give me some feedback, please subscribe. Please leave me a review with any feedback you might have. It'll really help out on wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you want to reach out to me and you have questions, want feedback, or just want to reach out, you can reach out to me at Karat Juice Podcast at gmail.com. That's Karat Juice Podcast at gmail.com. KARATJUICE podcast at gmail.com. Also, coming up in the coming week, I'm going to be releasing these weekly. I will most likely be covering some of the things that are going on as far as with politics. I'm not going to get too political on this show, but I think it needs to be addressed. We have the impeachment trial going on with the former president, Donald Trump. And then we also have senators bickering about stimulus packages and apparently QAnon senators as well, which is nuts. So I'm going to be covering some of that, but also keeping it light, keeping it fun, and putting my perspective on things. So until we meet again, have a great day. Eat something good. Hug somebody. Love somebody. Till we meet again. Peace.